Good morning, everyone. It's Graham, or Noddy, as I probably look with this winter's hat on. And the reason why I'm all wrapped up today is because we've had heavy-ish snowfall in the night, and it is absolutely freezing cold out there. So I'm wrapped up in here because we have no heating on in this little warehouse of ours at the moment. So we're going to have to get that sorted out, because I think we're going to be due a little bit more of this cold weather before spring hits us. Now, today's detecting talk is a subject that will touch the nerve, or on a nerve of a good few people. Now, it's a difficult subject to approach, so you guys will have to stay with me on it. But I'm going to give it from my perspective, my opinion only. My opinions differ from a few people. Not everybody's the same. We'd all be robots if we all had the same opinions and outlooks, I guess. So I'm going to try to approach the subject because I'm getting asked this question by message, email, Facebook, social media. The question crops up time and time again. So we'll try our best, or I'll try my best to approach it in a adult manner, I guess. That's the only way I can describe it. And the subject is detecting permissions and the threat of individuals' permissions being taken up by clubs who hold rallies, offer money, and push the poor single detectorist out. So that's it in a nutshell. Now, some of you will raise an eyebrow to that statement, but there seems to be an age-old battle going on out there between the single lone detectorist or his friends, couple of them, handful of them, a small group, call it what you will, and the bigger organised rallies, digs that approach farmers, offer money, and have one or two decent size rallies on particular farms. So we've got it as you, as an individual out there, the detectorist. You've got 250, 300 acres of decent land where you're making some decent finds. You're finding the odd hammered, you're finding a little bit of Roman here and there. It's giving you glimpses of what it could offer, and you've maybe been detecting on that farm for 3 or 4 years. You've got on pretty well with the landowner. Happy days. Sometimes you go and you don't find a great deal. Other times you go and you come back with a couple of hammered and you've had a fantastic day out there enjoying it, and you're now starting to find the hot spots of the farm where you think you could produce more semi-desirable finds. However, all isn't rosy in the garden, because to your dismay, when you go back a couple of months later, you find that a club or group have come into your farm and offered the farmer a substantial wedge of cash, and the permission is now in the hands of them rather than you. So there's going to be an element of frustration, and this happens all over the country. Believe me, it happens all over the country, and there isn't really an answer to it, because you've got to think of it this way. Would you be sore if it happened to you? Well, yeah, you pretty much would. If you're a single detectorist, you'd be pretty sore if you'd lost probably your favourite permission to a larger club offering money. It's human nature to feel wounded because of it. I would feel like it. You would feel like it. Some of the organisers of these digs, if they were individual detectorists, would also feel the pain. Guaranteed. However, when you scratch the surface and look a little bit deeper, you've got to think of it. I sit on the fence a little bit, in so much as I have friends that do organised digs, and they do them very successfully. And the reason why they do them is because A, they do it correctly. They do it because it's their only source of income. They haven't got jobs out there like some of them have. They're solely reliant on organised digs. And what they provide is decent land for people to go detecting on, whereas these people that attend may not have the opportunity to get on land. They may not even have their own permissions to get out detecting. So they're heavily reliant on these organised digs. And I'm a great believer, if these organised digs are run properly by correct and decent people, then it's happy days. However, you as a single detectorist are still going to be sore. You're going to be sore because you've lost your permission. If I lost a couple of my farms where I go detecting, I would be pretty much the same. So what is the answer to it? The answer probably lies within relationships with you, the farmer, and the dig organiser. So for example, you know, is the answer that you approach the dig organiser and say, listen, I've got permission on here, I've had it for 5 or 6 years, I know you've come on offering money and the farmer's accepted it, but, you know, do you leave a few fields alone that I've been happily detecting on over the years? Do you leave me to it? Do you respect my position where I'm the single detectorist and I've got to keep going and I've got to keep enjoying the hobby without getting frustrated, and this backbiting, arguing on social media and general bad blood, you know, happens in all walks of life, not just detecting, I guess. Is that a way forward where you sit down with this guy or you meet him and say, listen, you know, I'm a bit upset that you've got this permission. You probably didn't know I was a detectorist on here, but you know, how do we come to some compromise? There must be some common ground there for people to reach, rather than this arguing, falling out, etc., etc. So I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, there may not be an answer to it, but there's got to be something common ground between you and these group organisers to stop this continuous argument rolling around about people losing land to larger organisations, etc. And of course, you've also got to remember, folks, that we don't own the land. You know, we are lucky enough to get permission off the landowner or the farmers, but at any time they could say, I'm sorry guys, I don't want you on anymore, for whatever reason. You know, it might be changing hands, they might just be tired of seeing the same faces turning up each year to the farm like it happens sometimes, or they may have granted permission to a couple more detectorists and give them a chance. You know, I know one farmer that said to us once, you guys have been on here 10 years now, do you think it's about time that we offered it to somebody else to give them a go? And what can you say? You can't argue with the situation. You can't argue with that statement. You've just got to accept it. So I know fine well and how it must feel for the users, individual detectorists losing land to the clubs. Now, if you can't join them, if you can't beat them, join them. Do you join the club and say, right, okay, you know, it gives me the opportunity to now come out on more land. You've took my farm, I'm not happy about it, but do I join the club and come out with you guys and draw a line, you know, under it all, and we carry on that way? There's got to be some common ground out there for you guys to find. I'm sure there must be, but of course, you know, it's a murky world at times. You know, it's all may, you know, not. But it'd be not rosy in the garden. I can't even get my words out on that call. So, you know, it might be that these dig organisers are quite ruthless and they're offering large sums of money and they don't care about the individual detectorist at all, and they just carry on regardless, taking up vast swathes of land. So, you know, there's going to be conflict all the time. That conflict isn't going to go away, by the way. It's going to be there. It's happening all over the place. I'm hearing stories of people where, you know, they've got the first permissions, first ever permissions, I guess, and they've been happily doing it for 18 months, 2 years, only to find in their dismay that it's gone to a club and they can no longer get on. So it is a shame, but you know, I would like to see some comments on this from you guys. Some of you detectorists that follow me on YouTube may have some ideas or some case studies or some personal experience of this. There's arguments that rage on both sides. So you've got the individual detectorist unhappy about his land going because of a club coming in, and you've got the group organiser saying, well, hang on a minute, we're offering a service to the detectorists that may not get the opportunity to go on land to detect because they haven't got their own permission. So we're offering a service, and you can understand that. So I'm split right down the middle. We do organised digs 5 times a year. And that's for our customers. As you know, you've heard me say this before, for our customers, it's our way of saying thank you. We don't make any money out of it. We give it to the landowner or charity. Happy days. It's our way of saying thank you for being our customers. But I always make sure that there's not individual detectorists on it. in the first place. So if there's detectorists on it at that particular period, I'm not talking about the past, I'm talking about that particular period, I always give backward and say, thanks very much, but you've got guys coming on, they were only on a couple of weeks ago, we'll leave it be. A, because you don't want to be detecting on all ground anyway, because detectorists have covered it. You want to see if you can find places where you can give people a decent day out and find some nice bits and pieces. So that's my stance on it. You know, where do you draw the line? It's a difficult one, isn't it? So leave a comment, guys, if you can. It'd be interesting to see some of the feedback I get. And, you know, this last couple of weeks, our YouTube channel's growing. It's probably due to a little bit of popularity. That's just the way it is. I'm happy about that. We're not in it for making money. It's just about giving people a bit of advice and guidance. But there has been 1 or 2 comments removed where people are getting a little bit silly with their, for whatever reason, just having a little bit of a snipe here and there. If you don't like what I say and you don't like the finds that I make and show, don't comment, just don't follow it, just come off. It's as simple as that. It's absolutely simple. There's no reason to leave a troll-like comment that's going to get people's backs up. So just a word of warning, they just get removed and they get blocked. Simple as that. So leave some comments, guys, on the subject of organised digs and the private individual detectorist. Where do your loyalties lie? Who's right, who's wrong? Interesting subject. A lot of pain and frustration out there for people. You know, still happening. It will happen again, time and time again in the future. So let's see if we can get some information about a way to resolve it, if there is a way. Moving away from that, folks, if you remember a couple of weeks ago we did a short test on the new magic coils that are coming into the UK soon. We tested the 13-inch coil. I've been using it for a couple of weeks. I found the hammered with it at the weekend, which I was happy with. It's a decent coil. It's 13-inch, as you know, you've seen it, DD coil. It's deep, I will say that about it. It's nice and well made. The resins on it are tough. These new resins that they're using on the search coils of today are much better than the older ones. I don't think they're going to break. I think, touch wood, we're not going to have any problems with these breaking, especially the coil lugs. They're very, very substantial. And I'm happy to say the next line of coils, which is the ones I've been waiting for, although I will use 13-inch coils, especially on pasture and clean ground, plough. I've not really had the ideal conditions to use it, to be fair. Stubble and rough plough isn't really the ideal solution to using a particular aftermarket coil of that size on my detector. However, I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks because the new 9x13's here, folks, and I'll just give you the first glance of that, if I can just get it right way around. There she is, and there she is. So it's 9x13, comes with a coil cover fitted, but look at them lugs. Really substantial. They've really thought about it, haven't they? You know, instead of these weak lugs that can break, like, you know, we've had a few coil lugs breaking last couple of weeks, believe it or not, on certain machines. These are not going to break unless you're rough, really rough with them. They're going to stay. They're really, really strong. So they've put some thought into it. I like this particular size. It's a happy medium between the big and the small coils. It's a bit of an all-rounder. I could be happy using this on plough and pasture. So I'm going to be using this one on my particular machine. They do make them for a lot of different types of machines. So we've been through that in the past. So let's see how we get on with this. This is the one that's interested me the most up to now. The 9x13. It's narrow enough to get a little bit of separation between the iron. It's still got great ground coverage. And judging by the information I'm getting fed and some earlier field tests, they do punch deeper than people's standard coils. Happy days. So there's the 9x13. What I like about it's nice and light as well. That feels very, very light. And also, I forgot to add, with me waffling on, the coil covers can actually be taken off carefully and used without. Especially on clean pasture, clean plough, you can actually take the search coil cover off just to save that few extra bit of weight, you know, a few extra grams of weight. Believe me, it does make a difference because this ridge here, which is the coil cover, can get stuck and caked in mud, which also adds to the weight. So you want to be out in the field with at least fatigue as possible. So there she is, the The 9x13, I will be using that soon, and there's a field test coming out as soon as this snow disappears. We can get out onto the test beds and give it a go on a couple of the machines. So I'm quite impressed with the Magic coils. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, well, I've got loads of coils on the market at the moment and my Ultimate coil's the best, or my whatever coil's the best. I like these because the guys have thought about it. They've not produced the run-of-the-mill type coils that you've seen in the past. They've sat back and thought about what they can produce. The prices hopefully are going to be decent. The aftermarket service is going to be good. And we've experienced no falsing problems in the wet like we get with the Mars coils. Unfortunately, they go live in the wet. They're unusable on the G2 Plus and other machines in the wet ground. The T2s are bad luck with them. So these are very stable. The ground balancing straight away, with no ground balancing problems whatsoever with these coils, like some of them. So I've got great expectations of these coils. I think they're going to be really interesting out in the field, and I think a lot of people will be attracted to them as soon as they become mainstream. The next one is this one. Now, a lot of people are lovers of big coils. They see a big coil. Sorry, I've got an itch on my eye, folks. A lot of people use big coils because they think they're going to get massive depth and they're going to get great ground coverage and all these gold and silver is going to come dripping out of the ground. And I can understand people going for the big coil. Makes your detector look like a bit of an animal with a big coil on. You're out there looking for the stuff. However, you've got to remember all coils have a place. So the big coils are okay for cleaning past your ground coverage and depth, but you get them in amongst the iron, the separation's terrible, and you're going to miss vital targets, and that's where these little bad boys come in. So this is the 5x8 coil. Now it's a solid coil, as you can see. Again, the lugs are extremely well made, as you can see there. The cable's substantial, isn't a thin flimsy cable. The connections are really strong and tough and been well made. Now this little beauty will be perfect for sites like Roman sites, deserted medieval sites if you're lucky enough to get on them where they've been ploughed out, sites of habitation where there's a lot of iron. This little beauty can get through the iron and winkle out the coins and the artifacts that exist in between. So that's the beauty of them, and they punch deep. They're not a lightweight, flimsy, surface skimming coil. These actually, for the size, punch really, really, the depth is really good. And also added to that is the fact that in amongst the stubble and rough ground, bankings, tight areas, tight spaces, these coils can go where others can't. Bit more ground coverage than the small 5-inch versions that people use. You can be swinging them around and you think you're getting nowhere. This just offers that little bit more. So I think this will be as important as, if I can get my pen out of the way, I think that'll just be as important as the 9x13. I really do. This will have its place. Come August, September this year, I'll be probably using that just as much as the 9x13 because it'll get into the areas that I can't necessarily get with the standard coils at 11-inch or bigger. That might even be too big to get in some of the stubble spots that we go. That'll be perfect. And of course, people on the Thames that detect might just tick a box. So watch this space, folks. Them coils are going to be tested, like I said, very soon. Fingers crossed we can get out with them maybe tomorrow if this snow disappears, because it is absolutely hammering down at the moment with it. There we are. See what you think of the test when it comes out. Keep your eyes peeled. And if there's any comments about anything, feel free to drop a comment on the thread below. It'd be great to hear from you guys. What's coming next? I'm not detecting this weekend, as I said on the last video. I'll be out a couple of weeks' time. I've got some new land to go out pasture-wise, so keep an eye out for the video that we may produce and the film we may produce off the back of that. That'll be interesting to see if it produces something. And other than that is stay warm, folks. It is cold out there. Stay warm, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.